Hey everyone, Self-Worth School is back in session. I am so delighted to be joined today by Valerie Huard. She's a trauma-informed decluttering coach. If you didn't know such a thing exists, it absolutely does. So Valerie, you are our guest teacher today. Could you share a bit of a short story about how you came to be a professional declutterer and why this work matters so much to you?
Of course. So if I go back a couple years ago, I unfortunately encountered trauma in my life, but I wasn't aware of the impact of it. And as I grew up, started family, I saw the doctor and he told me, you know what, you will just get worse in life when they gave me a diagnosis of CPTSD.
Right.
And one day my mom came home and she said, Val, why do you have so much pasta? Are you cooking for an army? And when she left, I opened my pantry and I was maybe having 40 pack of pasta, 20 can of peaches, and I don't know how many pounds of flour. But I look around the house, there were piles on my countertop, there were paperwork on my dining room table, there were open like bags from shopping that just stay there and on delivery boxes unopened. I then went to my bedroom, opened my closet. I was having clothes three size up, three size down, just in case
Mm.
that weight balance.
Yeah.
And it didn't start to me at that point that they were a problem. Yes, a little bit of clutter, but life goes on. I'm busy. I have children and all of
Yeah.
that. And then my husband got posted for his work and we were needing to move. The moving estimator came and he looked at me and he said, Ma'am, you need to let go of at least 50% of your belongings.
Wow.
50%. I was wanting to cry. I was, what's going on? So we had 3 months to do that. It wasn't enough. So my husband has to leave first to this new place, and I stay behind with the kids to declutter. And it was a roller coaster. As I was decluttering, bringing donation the Saturday to the donation center. On
Yeah.
my way home, there were garage shine sign, garage sales sign on the corner of the street. And it was, oh, what treasure can I find there? The excitement. So it was hard at the beginning to let go of things and reduce the amount. But the more I was decluttering, I realized, oh my God, I don't need a nap anymore in the afternoon. I don't have flashback anymore. I'm more smiling. My emotions are more balanced. So as I let go of my clutter, I let go of my trauma.
Oh, wow. It's not something you would normally
Yes.
put together. You might think, oh, there's clutter around and I'm feeling quite stressed because it feels like my
Yeah.
room is busy and I don't know where to start. But yeah, you wouldn't necessarily make that link, but that's such an amazing kind of
Completely.
transformation to have made.
And then we move back together with my husband, and I say, I want to help people that it doesn't happen to them anymore. So I start by becoming a home stager, then a professional organizer, then specialize in decluttering, and then really specialize to help people that have trauma. So that's how I
And that's where
became
you
who I
got to
am
where you are today.
today.
Amazing.
Yes.
So one of the reasons I was so interested to do this episode is because I've had so many conversations from anywhere with like in my best friend group to like women's networking events where people are struggling with decluttering. In fact, I know a couple of professional declutterers myself. And I think that there seems to be so much like shame around like clutter. And it will almost seem that once people started talking about it, everyone had like a room or a cupboard or something. And I know I'm terrible for keeping hold of things like sentimentally and stuff like that as well. But yeah, so many women seem to feel like overwhelmed by clutter, and it isn't necessarily just in their homes, it's also in their minds and their
Oh,
schedules as well. This needs to feel like busy or hold on to things just in case or what have you. Why do you think, as a trauma informed person around clutter, why do you think clutter has become such a common source of stress and shame?
the thing is, cutters start in stress and shame. If we remember as far as we can, most of us have had the parents telling us, in your room, pick up your toys. And then at school, it was keep your desk clean.
Yeah.
And we grew up with that. And the other point is our brain manage all the information around us at the same time, even if we're not focusing on it. If we go to a fair, you know how much there's
Yeah.
light and loud noise and people, and we came back home and we're completely tired and overwhelmed. It's the same principle in our home. For example, the more item we have, the more our brain is focusing on all of them, and the more stressful it's become. So
Yeah.
the stress hormone, the cortisol, raised up. The problem is if we also had a trauma in our past and the cortisol raised because of the clutter, then it activates the trauma response.
Right.
And the more the trauma response is activated, our system, neurological system, create more cortisol. Therefore, we are even more stressed. So it becomes a kind of a
Okay, like
vicious
a cycle.
cycle
Hmm.
between stress, trauma, and clutter.
And what about
And that's just the physical clutter.
yes,
Then
not
we have
just.
all the clutter in our mind, like
Mm,
from the trauma or from the activity we're in, or in our calendar, whether we have to run with the kids' activities or keep us busy with volunteering and work. And like I see two patterns.
mm,
Either people are busy, 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 like professional, completely busy, or business owner, or even retired people with volunteering. And then they arrive home and they get on the couch and they lose track of time. Suddenly, where that 3 hours passed, oh, I was scrolling on the net,
mm,
or I was on YouTube, or I was playing game.
yeah.
But with that, I didn't make supper. So now I'm ordering takeout
Mm.
or delivery. So there's really a pattern there where when we have difficulty managing our stress, or executive function in your brain, that's in the frontal lobe, okay? It's like planning,
Mm.
organizing, sorting, working memory, focus. All of these become slowed down by the cortisol. So it's really hard to keep a home tidy when these executive function are not at their optimal.
And what about, or what do you think or know about the connection between clutter and neurodiversity or ADHD? Because again, I have quite a few friends who've been
Yes,
diagnosed with ADHD and some of them late diagnosed as well. And I feel like there tends to often be like a bit of a connection between that. Is
there
that
is.
something that you've explored
There
or know
is.
about?
Yes, I did explore, and we're about to write a book on that subject. The thing is, when we have ADHD or neurodivergence, it's also the executive function that are affected, but they are affected differently. It's in their neurochemical that has an unbalance, okay? But it still slow down the same executive function that I just mentioned. So it's really hard to maintain a place tidy.
Yeah.
So and then came the stress and the shame of having lots of item around. And then they become more stressed. When they're more stressed, their executive function slow down even more. So it's not just their ADHD that plays in,
Yeah.
but now plays in the trauma and the stress and all of
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So it amplified the situation.
Okay. And what do you see as like the biggest misunderstanding that people have about clutter? What do you wish people knew about clutter and all of that, where it comes from, that you wish
I
people more people knew?
I hear so many people when they come to me say, I'm lazy, I'm not able to keep up with my clutter. It's not a question of laziness,
Mm,
not at all. People want to do it, they don't want to procrastinate. But let's imagine a car, okay, that has no more gas and you need to push. That's how people are tired at the end of the day, okay?
yeah.
They have no more gas. We try to push the car, and then the cortisol came and pushed the brake on the car. So the cortisol slowed down the executive function. Would you be able to push that car that is on brake?
No.
No. It's the same thing with the cortisol. It's just that it's not visible. And if someone would have, I don't know, this two legs, two arms in a cast, would you ask that people to declutter her home? You will provide help and support to that person.
Yeah, absolutely.
But that's a visible
Mm,
situation. But with trauma and ADHD and neurodivergence, it's not a visible
yeah,
situation in terms of physically on the human being. But the problem is as important.
yeah,
So it's
absolutely.
not a question of laziness, not at all.
No. And I think hopefully a lot of people will feel validated, a little bit more understood in hearing that. So if we talk about the how around the lesson that you're teaching in terms of decluttering, I know that you've got a really powerful 4-step process in terms of how you help people to declutter. Could you just briefly walk us through that framework and explain why it creates lasting change? Because that's another thing, isn't it? That people often find
Yeah,
themselves decluttering and then getting in that same pattern again. So yeah, if you tell
yeah.
us a little bit about that framework and how it.
So we call it the do well method. And we are completely different from other professional organizer because most of them will start by going declutter the physical space. In our case, we have a 4-step process. The first one is really about letting go of the stress, decluttering the stress, because I explained the stress or the stress hormone, the cortisol, slow down the frontal lobe.
Yeah.
So we're unable to take action. So as long as the stress stay high, the clutter will come back and we will have difficulty tackling the clutter. So that's really the first place we need to address.
Yeah.
From there, we can move into mindset because a lot of people, it's hard to say, it's heartbreaking. But at that point, with the trauma in their life and everything and the guilt, they don't feel self worthy of having a tidy place anymore. And that is terrible because they are the most important person in their life and they are worthy of living in a tidy place.
Yeah.
So we need to work on mindset, letting go of the past coping mechanism that do not serve us anymore, letting go of that negative self-talk, letting go of, yeah,
Yeah.
that
And so
mindset that sometimes become fixed.
yeah,
If I talk about Carol Dweck between fixed mindset and growth mindset, that is fixed because of the experience that people are living in those paradigms.
and so that's the connection there. Sorry to just interrupt your thing, but that's the connection there that we're talking about in terms of self-worth. That's where
Yes.
the link to decluttering and self-worth and confidence takes place, is in that
Yes.
I'm not worthy, I'm not capable, I'm not good enough, I don't deserve to live in a place like this because I
Yeah.
clearly can't manage it, or I'm too lazy, or whatever those thoughts
Exactly.
are.
So
Yeah.
we work on that mindset and that self worth and self love during the step 2.
Hmm.
When these two are achieved, we're moving to step 3. Step 3 is about time because planification, organization are executive function. So as the cortisol has reduced and the mindset is better, is the perfect time to look at our calendar. When will I declutter? Because it takes time to declutter. When will I add that in my calendar? And now people are able to adjust their routine to feel better and have more energy. So it's the perfect time because when we don't tackle these 3 steps, the stress, the mind, and the time,
Yeah.
clutter is like a pendulum. You let go of it, it come back. You let go of it, it come back. But when you have tackled those 3 steps, instead of giving a big push and it come back faster, you're slowing down the pendulum of clutter. So clutter reduce progressively. People learn to tame their new space, and then they're able to maintain it because the skills were developed and built on progressively.
Yeah.
Then we're ready to tackle the space or belongings because we know that when we will declutter, it won't come back the same way. But as long as we declutter first, the process is way longer because it's coming back all the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, and that's something I've definitely seen amongst friends and other people, is you do it, you feel great. And there is something about that energy of a space, isn't there, that's been decluttered in terms of how it
Yes.
makes you feel, how you're able to focus. But yeah, it makes absolute sense. What you're saying is, if the issue is coming from some kind of trauma, neurodiversity, mental health issue, until that has been resolved, whatever level that might be on, it would be much like any other work. You might initially have that breakthrough, but then it's always going to keep coming back until you confront those things that are changed it.
Yeah. And we don't need to go to therapy and dive in the terms of tell me what exactly happened, what would you feel,
Mm.
and that kind of things. We have an approach where we are here, we want to go there. What are the steps to get there? We don't need to dig in the past. We just need to decide from today, now's on, I am moving forward.
And so, can you give an example of how someone can break that cycle then and build systems that stick without having to go to therapy and everything? What would it take for them to do that exploration and make that change after a big clear out, or clearing their room, for that to stick around, whether that's at home or at work?
People want that to happen fast. They want it that next month, my place is all clear. That's the road of failure. And I'm saying a failure in the terms of first attempt in learning,
Yeah.
okay, on which we will be able to build on. But the problem is we need to go progressively. So, to reduce the stress and the cortisol that has been accumulated years after years in the body, it may take 3 months for one person, it may take 9 months for another one. Because some people reach out to me, in their 60s, 70s, and they have had trauma in their childhood. So that had built up all these years.
Yeah.
So it takes couple months because people are used to live on that level of cortisol, that level of stress. And for them, they're not stressed anymore. It's just life. So they learn to progressively reduce their level of stress. And then oh my God, I didn't know that peace exists.
Mm.
So that's the really first breakthrough.
Yeah.
From there, we work on the mindset. And to know when they're ready to work on mindset, it's really like they will come back from the post office or their mailbox and they will say, you know what? I let go of the junk mail right away over there and put it in the recycle and just bring back what I was needing and file it right away. I paid my bill right away instead of waiting. And it was easy. Or they did their laundry and they fold their clothes right away and put them away. And they tells me, I don't know what's happening, but I'm doing things right now. What's happening is the cortisol has reduced, executive functions get in, and they're able to do what they always have wanted to do. And we tackle the mindset, the self-worth get higher, the self-love as well. So they're more, the desire of living in that clear space is more there.
Yeah.
And from there, we work on time and routine to find when we will declutter and have more energy. That is a really short module because it's easy to pick up when the executive function has get back to speed. And then we tackle the space. Now, that one is also one that can take different length of time. For some people, it may take a couple of months. For another person, it may take a year. Because somebody that has a bit of clutter everywhere is one thing. Somebody that has tile, I like that, in
Mm.
every room and had to circulate won't take the same amount to go through the belongings.
Yeah.
So the journey is the same. The length of the journey is completely individual because it's depend of their trauma or their neurodivergence or what was the cause. And everybody has its own speed to do,
Mhm.
if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that makes absolute sense.
But even then, sometimes people tell me, oh, but 2 years is long. Maybe 2 years seems long, but what is 2 years to feel good,
Mm.
worthy, and living in a tidy place for good compared to 40 years of trauma and chaos and trying different kind of therapy and EMDR and different
Yeah.
hypnosis and so on that didn't work all these 40, 45 years, maybe 60 years. What
Mm.
is 2 years compared to that?
Yeah, for lasting
Not that long.
change.
It's
No.
not that long.
And one thing that was coming to mind for me So, how do you differentiate, or how can somebody know whether? Because the thing you're saying, like different people have different levels of clutter, different issues going on in their mind. But I also imagine that there's people that have different like standards of tidiness, cleanliness,
Yes.
what's clutter. How do you differentiate, or how might somebody know that really they have a decluttering issue rather than just, a slightly untidy home? Like, how can you tell whether or not this is something I need to
Yeah.
get help with, or
Ye-
this level of declutter is an
Yeah.
issue versus, oh no, maybe I just have quite high standards for cleanliness. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah. I will tell you. So, when we start going around the home with a basket running because our mom get into the driveway and we want to hide the laundry basket and hide what is on the dining room table, that's the first sign. Like we're picking up things fast because it's not at our standard or the standard of our mom visiting. That's the first sign. The second sign is when we start feeling tired all the time.
Okay.
I'm overwhelmed. I'm tired. I don't have the energy to tackle and put things away. That's another sign. After that came I don't want to open the door anymore to people.
Mm.
I'm scooping through the door and close the door to talk on the balcony on or the porch to them. Or I go meet them at Starbucks or another coffee.
Okay.
That's it's because clutter is really advanced. But whatever the stage it is, if we don't feel good in our home, it's worth doing that decluttering journey that I call the do well method,
Yeah. Lovely.
because we need to feel good in our place and to have self-worth.
Mm.
So important.
Yeah, it's huge. Absolutely huge. And like I said, I don't think people perhaps haven't realized, and I certainly haven't realized that the link, like how much of an effect it can have, that isn't just like about having an untidy home or being a bit stressed about mess. Like you say, it goes a lot deeper than that and has a
Oh,
wider
yes.
impact on that. So then we're coming to our main takeaway part of the lesson. So I'd love you to share, if our students, our listeners today, were to remember one lesson about decluttering and reclaiming their peace, one thing
It's
that
so hard.
yeah, I know it's difficult, but if they were to come away with one sentence that you would love them to remember from this conversation that we've had, what would you say is like the key thing you would want them to remember?
I think it would be reaching for help.
Hmm.
When you realize that you're in that situation, don't stay alone.
Mm.
Don't isolate yourself. I see so much people getting isolated because of it. So reach out for help. Help exists. Reach out. And to go with that, I have a gift for everybody.
Thank you. Oh, yes.
Uh,
So this is be our takeaway exercise section. So something that people can do
I
into
have also
practice.
something else in the exercise, but
Okay.
I have a
Oh, lovely.
gift for people that will be in the show note, I think. It's what I call the 7 secrets of decluttering.
Yes.
So people can get that. And then if they want later on to contact us, we're here to help.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
that's the
lovely.
seven
So we've got
secret.
something to share in the show notes. That's no problem. Yeah, we'll pop a link in there
Yeah,
for anybody that yeah feels like they've listened to this and they're wondering what they can do to help themselves. So that's
yeah.
awesome. But you
And
have
I will
another
share
takeaway
one
exercise?
secret.
Yeah, please.
Yes. Most people have heard of Mary Kondo and her KonMari method. She passed on Netflix and so on,
Mm.
saying, touch your belonging and decide if that brings joy, then keep it or not. That's really good for a lot of people, but for people that have neurodivergence or trauma, it's not working because people, when we touch our belongings, there's a link between the sense of touch and the limbic system in the brain. And the wave of emotion is coming. And people with neurodivergence or trauma have difficulty managing their emotion. So then they start decluttering 5 minutes after they're exhausted, they're overwhelmed. They say, I'll do this later,
Mm.
but later never comes. So the solution to that is wearing a pair of gloves.
Oh.
When you wear a pair of gloves, you're not touching the belongings right away. Therefore, you're not completely overwhelmed by the emotion. You still see the object, you will still have a reaction, That's normal, but you won't be at the point of being completely overwhelmed and shut down. So people are able to declutter 40% more items. And not only that, but they're able to do decluttering session, let's say on a longer period of time. So maybe 45 minutes instead of 20 minutes. And they're feeling less tired after it. So wearing a pair of gloves is one of the takeaway that is in the 7 secrets that I was wanting to share with all of you.
Oh, lovely. So that's everyone's takeaway exercise for today. If that's something they need to do, that's the little tip to go and put that stuff into action. Again, not something I would have ever thought about, but like you say, our brains are so complex, but sometimes it's just those kind of simple things that take away that emotional disconnect so that can make such a difference.
That came from my background in occupational therapy that made me make that links and say, oh, let's try this. And it works. So
amazing. So everyone can try today. Valerie, thank you so much for today. Honestly, like I say, it's a topic I know that is an issue, but I just didn't know there was so much involved about it. It's so interesting to learn. And like I say, that sense of declutter, if you are holding both that physical sense of discomfort that comes with clutter, but also that internal shame and stress, it does have such an effect on your happiness and confidence. And that's what Self-Aware School is all about. It's about finding those ways to become your happiest, most confident self. And I know a lot of the women that are listening to this will be busy women, busy moms. And I'm sure this conversation will be both, like I say, really validating and reassuring, but hopefully give a bit of sense of help and direction to the people that are out there that might need it. Thank you so much. And like I say, we'll share details in the show notes of Valerie's gift to you all, but also how you can get in touch to find out more if this feels like something you would love support with. But yeah, thank you so much, Valerie. It's been awesome.
it was such a pleasure. Thank you to you.
Thank you. So there you go, everyone. Who learned something new about clutter today? Because I certainly did. But I love what Valerie brings to this space. There's so much compassion and understanding and a powerful reminder that having clutter isn't a flaw. It doesn't mean you're lazy, disorganized, disgusting, anything like that. It's a signal. It's a message from your nervous system that you deserve support, safety, and space. So if your today's conversation has helped you see your home or yourself differently, I hope that you let that land. You don't need to feel embarrassed or bad at keeping things together. Your worth has never been measured by the state of your cupboards. And if you want to take the next small step, Valerie has gifted us her 7 secrets of decluttering, which you'll find linked in the show notes. It's a simple, supportive place to start, especially if you are carrying that overwhelm or trauma when it comes to your clutter. So until next time, keep growing, keep showing up. Let us know if you've enjoyed this. Share it with someone. Tag us in social media if you have. And just remember that you deserve a life, a home, and an identity that is as awesome as you are. Have a great day.